the House of Representatives that is being led by the Republicans are somehow blaming the Democrats for everything that has gone wrong with their shit show and mess. Again, the unbelievable. These fuckers are like David Blaine. They pull out some of the greatest magic tricks of all time that they're what they are causing. They are pushing and blaming the Democrats for. Obviously, Kevin McCarthy, who was voted in as speaker after what was it, 18 times 15. They had to vote on it? 15. Which is unheard of. It took them 15 times and almost a fist fight on the House floor to get Matt Gaetz to give in to allow him to be the House Speaker. And of course, the deal was, we'll let you do it, but if you piss me off one time, all I have to do is just say, nope, you're out. And that's exactly what happened. And who amongst us didn't know that that was going to happen because they're such a shit show? Yeah. Now they are without a speaker. So they moved on to, what was it? Jim Jordan is who the
Scalise and Jim Jordan. I don't know which one was first. Was it Scalise first? Was it Jim Jordan, Scalise, and then
you're right? It was Scalise, and then Scalise pulled out. Because he knew he wasn't getting the vote.
I kind of think they made him too. Like I swear in the background they were like, "You better."
Well, that was when Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said, "Well, we love Steve Scalise, but I am so concerned about his cancer. He needs to go worry about."
They're all saying, exactly.
Yeah. She's praise Jesus. So Steve Scalise pulled out, and then Jim Jordan was supposed to be the guy who another MAGA nut who is a big time election denier, and of course he covers up sexual assault.
Well, wait, back up, because we're not going to let Scalise go without telling about his baggage, because Scalise called himself David Duke without the baggage.
That is no question.
He's not a great guy.
How do you call yourself on what planet do you go in front of a microphone and call yourself that? What's the baggage that he's talking about?
He doesn't light crosses in black people's yards or wears the hood. So he's David Duke without the hood. He didn't come with his baggage.
Okay, so we figure out what the baggage wasn't. What's the part of David Duke that he is?
Biggie?
I don't know. I mean, other than when you hear David Duke's name, what policy, what do you think of when you hear David Duke?
He did it. It's the racism and the bigotry and the fascism and I'm better than everyone else. Like how could it be anything else? David Duke is not known for anything other than being Grand Poobah of the Ku Klux Klan.
I don't get it, man. I just
proudly said that too.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. I mean, that's like a dude saying you're like, what's that guy's name? That Wilmer Villarama of Without the Baggage. It's like, wait a minute, isn't that the guy who's been now he's thrown in jail for rape?
Jim Jones Without the Baggage.
Yeah.
What the heck, man?
I don't listen. These people are weird. They're crazy. But okay, so now you got Jim Jordan. He's obviously out. And so there's this guy named Mark Emmer who has some sort of sensibility.
You're taking all the fun out of it.
See, and this is wait, by the way, what I say earlier, I'm going to need Lana.
Yeah, we can't go straight to that guy. We gotta say no after Jim Jordan did not get the votes after 3 tries.
Right.
And they thought he was gonna try again because he's a wrestler and he never gives up.
Sleeve rolled up. Yeah.
Hakeem Jeffries got more votes. Like he started getting less votes. So then 9 people put their hats in, 7 of which were election deniers, 2 not.
Mark Emmer's one.
Byron Donaldson. I just had to say
From
his
Florida.
name because I cannot stand that prop.
He is awful on Twitter too. If you see him somehow,
he's married to a mom of liberty. So
is he?
He is, yes. She's like the grand somebody of the Moms of Liberty. Yeah.
Is she the one that allowed the Hitler quote on the front page of their newsletter?
She may have. I should look it up because she is one of the top people of Moms of Liberty, and that is his wife. And not only is Byron Donaldson married to a little freaking Hitler, he was arrested. Did you hear that? He was arrested for weed distribution and trying to defraud a bank.
Oh, okay.
In the 90s.
It's right up the alley for him. I'm sure he made himself right with Jesus, and everything is fine now. So
yeah,
the justification. He married a mother for whatever they call themselves, a Liberty Moms.
Yeah, mother for Jesus.
What did they call? What was the greatest nickname for that group, the Moms for Liberty? Planned Karenhood was the greatest nickname.
Because that's exactly it. He's married to a Karen, Clan Karen. Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you continue. Right.
I just wanted to get all of these.
No, I'm glad.
And especially Byron. And then today, that was hilarious. Like, I work from home, so I was like this, and it's like this person dropped out. This person, and then it was like just watching. It was like dominoes, right? It was like, and then there were 7, and then there were 6.
Yep,
there were 4.
Down to 2. Now, am I right in saying Mark Emmer finally won the nomination? Is that correct?
He did finally win the nomination.
Okay. Now, that does not mean that he's House Speaker. That means this is the guy we're going to vote on.
No, he dropped out.
That's awesome. That's just phenomenal.
But you know what? I am laughing because just your reaction, because that was funny. I couldn't wait to spit it out. But it's actually, it's sad. Like, at this point, give it a fucking break. Like, give it a break. Like, Congress has to run. Like, this, it's funny, but no, it's not funny anymore. This is a long time. The government's going to close. They have nobody right now. They're supposed to be working all night tonight to find someone else. That's the plan. Because he probably said, y'all are fucking crazy. I'm not doing this. Like, it was probably too much.
Yeah, and that's probably what it comes down to. But there is a gentleman named Andy Barr. He's a representative of Kentucky, and he was on CNN today. And he had, I think, what would be probably the best suggestion to handle this whole thing. Let's take a listen to what he had to say about the House Speaker clown show and what the solution should be.
Divided, we might as well have Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats control the Congress.
Not a bad idea, really, at this point. Now, of course, I don't think they'll ever let it happen. Now, again, there are some Republicans. They are not all MAGA nuts. They are all not. And there are enough of them in Biden districts that want to keep their job. And I don't know, maybe at some point, just like today, when you saw 3 former Trump associates say, fuck that, I'm going against this guy. As they keep chipping away at Donald Trump and he becomes weaker and weaker, because again, Kevin McCarthy was originally his guy. He's out.
Right.
And there's another faction again. You talk about Palestine and Israel. Try to explain to me, you have Matt Gaetz, who's a big Trump supporter. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a big Trump supporter. But Marjorie Taylor Greene's a big Kevin McCarthy guy. Matt Gaetz can't stand him. So I just don't understand any of these idiots. But so anyway, you would hope that the fact that Donald Trump continues to keep looking weaker and not as powerful as he is, maybe some of these Republicans go, for the best and the good of the American people, either we vote not present, to that way you're not necessarily casting a vote and you're not being castrated by your constituents, and allowing Hakeem Jeffries to be the sensible person who certainly to me, and I know a lot of people who are non-Democrats may not agree, but seems like a sensible person to me and would run it very, very well.
Or in the alternative, nominates a Republican who Democrats can get behind. You know, because believe it or not, the Democrats want to work. So they're going to help them at this point, because now it's ridiculous.
Let me ask you a question though, Lana. There's very few of those, I would assume, right?
Very few
of Republicans that Democrats could get behind.
Right, but they were going to get behind. They were going to leave the room or something. They like had a plan with this guy. What's his name? Whatever.
Yeah. But do they want it?
Because they can't get it. Hakeem Jeffries isn't going to get it, but they're willing to work with someone who is not an election denier. So it was going to be Helm or whatever his name is, and the other guy, because I guess there were two. Yeah. So they had a plan where they would just, I don't know if they were going to leave the room or vote present or however, to let him get the numbers that he needs so that Congress can work. Because it doesn't matter to them at this point, because it doesn't make sense for them to fight everyone, because a Republican's going to have that spot. So you might as well get a Republican that is not an election denier, who is third in line to presidency, or second, or however you count it.
Yeah. Third,
you might as well you might as well get one that makes sense.
Well,
right?
that's my question though. My question is, and this is where I'm a little bit behind, and maybe you can answer this, but the people that you're talking about, do they actually want to be House Speaker? Do they want to be amongst these crazy nuts who are every day going to be, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then they're like, fuck this shit. Why the fuck did I do this?
And that's the problem. And that's what's scary too. And that's why, like, I think it was on Joy Reid or something, they were saying how those moderate Republicans, and those Republicans that did not want Jim Jordan, that are holdouts, should really go start meeting with not the Republicans, but with the Democrats for the next move to get the Congress going. Because what I'm afraid of, and I'm sure Democrats are afraid of, if little old me who knows nothing is afraid of, they're going to cave in. I'm afraid that, because the crazies, when you're crazy, you'll hold Marjorie Taylor Greene, Bobart Gates. They don't fucking care if the world is on fire, shut down for months.
Yep.
That will kill Democrats.
They've said it out loud.
Yeah, they don't care. So the moderate Republicans may give in and be like, you know what? If you want Jim Jordan, Jim Jordan. If you know what I mean? And that makes me nervous. Like, I don't even know if I want David Duke with the baggage or Jim Jordan. Like, I don't want Jim Jordan. Like, he would just...
He'd be awful.
He's disgusting.
Yep.
Like, he's just so bad. And like you said, Ukraine money is so important.
Yep.
Jim Jordan is going to shut that down. Jim Jordan is worse than an election denier. Like, he was there getting phone calls. Like, he's awful.
Yeah.
So awful. Oh my God.
I definitely agree with you. And what do we have? Little over a year until, the possibility of the Democrats taking the House back would obviously just be the best thing that could happen, because even the old Republicans, and you never saw this with the Democrats, you never saw it with you'll see infighting, but never anything like this. Never anything as embarrassing. And the fucking balls to go on television like this fucking Kevin McCarthy every day, blaming the Democrats for this happening, is so out fucking rageous to me. And it's just, I hate our politics sometimes.
Can I tell you something that's going to make
you
even more?
No, actually, maybe you shouldn't. My fucking cat's gone. I don't need to hear something that's going to upset
maybe
me.
This will make you laugh instead of make you upset.
All right.
So,
hit me.
So after, what's his name? Him? I don't know his name. H something in the M's. After he dropped out, Kevin McCarthy floated the idea that he can become the speaker again, vote for him as speaker, and then Jim Jordan can be assistant speaker.
It's kind of like on The Office, where Dwight was the assistant to the regional manager. That's the vibe I get from that. And Kevin McCarthy is very Michael Scottish.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like that's him trying to say, well, just put me back there and we can have both factions up here together, like working together. Like that's not even going to work because it's polar opposite. Like, money needs to go to Ukraine. Jim Jordan is not going to allow. How is that going to work?
Yeah.
Like, that's just, who does this?
It would be like Taylor Swift and Beyonce going on tour with each other, and one of them saying, "You're opening for me," and they're like, "No, that ain't happening. What the fuck are you talking about?"
Exactly, it's a perfect analogy.
Yeah. So we were talking about crazy, and we were talking about Mark Emmer.
Okay.
Marjorie Taylor Greene went on Fox News to explain why she did not necessarily think that Mark Emmer is the best choice.
I don't know his name.
For House Speaker. Let's listen to what she had to say about that, and then we can discuss.
We need a Speaker of the House that reflects the values and the views of Republican voters across the country.
Now, keep in mind, she says the views and the values of the Republican voters across the country. Let's hear what those are.
And they support President Trump, and they support his agenda, and Tom Emmer does not. His voting record, he voted against President Trump's transgender ban in the military. He voted for the Democrats' gay marriage bill that allows churches to be sued if they don't support gay marriages. He also, once had supported the voting rights, the national voting movement that was completely against what we stand for. So that we can't have that for a Speaker of the House. But I'm glad Tom has dropped out of the race, and we've got to work hard to find someone that does support President Trump and does support Republican voters across the country.
Yeah, Mr. Trump tweeted today very critical of Emmer.
I got to listen to my own clips, by the way, because she just said that Tom Emmer dropped out, and I did not hear that. But what do you think, Lana?
That is the minority there. That is just on fire. And if the rest of them just stood together and like, you know what, and stop being fucking, that word, willows. Come on, like, why are we letting these people take? It's so insane to me. If you don't support Trump, like, Trump is a sinking ship, and she is hanging on that ship like crazy because she's desperate and thinks like she'll get a job in the White House as part of his administration if he just happens to become president again. It's all she cares about.
Yeah, well, they're convinced that, again, when you live in that bubble, and again, I'm not saying that Trump can't win, but they're convinced that it's really a done deal, that they have demonized and made Joe Biden look foolish enough to where there's no chance America could vote for him. Sort of working, when you look at the polls and you look at the approval rating. But at the end of the day, I think, as we talked about earlier, I think people are going to come to their senses and go, all right, not my favorite guy, but if the other candidate is a guy with 91 felony counts and just as old and way dumber than the guy that I'm definitely doing that. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, her first two main things were that Mark Emmer, Tom Emmer, do I say Mark?
I thought his name was Hems, so don't ask me.
Yeah, no, it's Emmer is the last name, but
no idea.
It doesn't even matter because the guy fucking dropped out, so we're never going to hear his name again. But they are, he voted for the trans thing and a gay thing. So again, when you're putting these things at the top of your list, that this is the values of the Republican Party, this is the top of your list. When you want to talk about polls, most people, whether you're Republican or you're Democrat, the majority of people, and a high majority of people, don't care about the gay and trans issue. They really don't.
Right. He probably has someone,
transgender population.
He has someone in his family that is. That's
correct.
Why.
And there's a lot of Republicans that have. I mean, and it's just We've taught transgender. There's like 2 million transgender. You'd be hard pressed. I've known more people who attack the Capitol than I've known transgender people. And I'm not saying you don't. It's not a major issue. And even if they were all over the place, who cares? What difference does it make?
It's not a major issue, because if we look in the newspaper, and the latest people, just last week, a cop in Florida got arrested for what?
Yep.
Child pornography.
Yep.
He wasn't trans.
And that's just said, every one of those tweets go, another non-trans person, or another non-drag queen, or another and
Right.
it's a lot of these just weird.
You know what makes me sick about like Bo Bartz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and all of those fire throwers?
Probably the same thing that makes me nuts, but let's see if it matches up. I'm sure.
No, like, so every time she goes on there, she talks about Republican voters, right? Like that is the only, I mean, she doesn't care about them either, but like, that's the focus. It's not the American people. It's not like, when you're a lawmaker, you're supposed to represent all of the people,
that
not
is correct.
Just and that's constant. It's like, Republican voters, we're doing what the Republican voters want. It's like, why are you separating everyone? Like, it's so disgusting. Democrats never talk about that. You'll never hear Democrats say, well, the Democratic voters want. They never. It's the people, American people.
That is an excellent point, and that is absolutely 100% correct. And again, you never really used to hear that. Even during the Ronald Reagan years, you wouldn't hear him say, the Republican Party, the Republican voters, the Republican. Now, he was speaking certainly to a certain group of people, and I think that's sort of where this movement started and sort of metastasized into what we're seeing today. But you're exactly right, is that they're talking to a specific group of people. They don't give a fuck if you're a Democrat. They do not even want you voting for them. It'd almost be like, I'm a Democrat, should I vote for you? And no, you stay away. It's just weird. This is where we've gotten to in this country, where they just don't care about the American people. You said it earlier, you're exactly right. They would rather burn down this whole system. They're the ones who keep talking about American pride and patriots, actually hate this country. They hate how it's run. They hate everything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said it. Yeah. They really, they're the most unpatriotic people who call themselves patriots ever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even understand.